October?
It'd be a decent fight. I mean, stylistically, I know I got this dude on hand, but I mean, if he wants to train for it, I mean, shit, I'd be down too. I mean, it's interesting to see how tides change. It goes from Khabib to Kevin Lee. But like I said, whoever wants to sign up on the dotted line is who's going to get it. And if it's for the interim title belt, let's do it.
If you end up fighting Kevin Lee instead of Khabib, do you almost never want to hear about the guy again? And you know, I want to say that, of course, you are going to hear about him because he's at the top of your division, as are you. You know, both of you guys are right there. And so you're never really going to be completely rid of one another unless, you know, one of you would change weight classes or something. But
he needs to retire. He needs to retire. He needs to not move up a weight class because he's going to get eaten up by hands. He needs to retire. Go do your own thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would just think that if you are saying, yes, I'll fight you, Khabib, in October or November, if he doesn't agree to that, I would just think that just from a personal standpoint, you would almost want to write the guy off. Is that sort of where you're at, or is it because the fans want to see that fight so much that you always know it's a possibility?
It's a great super fight. It's a great super fight story. So, I mean, in the makings of it, yeah, of course, there's a lot of build-up in it. But I would have to want to see the fans want to get interested in it. You know what I mean? If it's not going to happen for this anytime soon, if we're going to have that super fight, I think the fans would want to pay for that one. I mean, that would have to be a main event pay-per-view card stacked with a card, my undercard being stacked. I mean, like with some highlight people, the ones that are out there like doing the Imanari roles and really putting it out there. The young up-and-coming fighters, you know what I mean? Not the OGs that are out there, you know, that are slow and have no cardio or conditioning. You know what I mean? Put us up there with like some up-and-coming talent that's going to make the UFC shine again, man. Like I said, we're trying to make the UFC great again. It was great to see John Jones and Cormier go out there and squash that. You know, I can only hope that Khabib gets his together. And, you know, we don't have any more Tiramisu Tuesdays because, you know, my creativity is great, but I'm running out of ideas here. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
let's go, Khabib. You need to get your together.
You asked me earlier if if we're sick of it, if we're sick of talking about this fight. And you know what? No one ever gets sick of Christmas Eve. I mean, the anticipation of getting, you know, what you want the following day. Everybody loves Christmas Eve, but then they get Christmas. You know, if we're never going to get Christmas and we're only going to get Christmas Eves, I think we are better off just writing the whole thing out. Just say Christmas is canceled this year, Tony. Just tell us so that we don't get our hopes up anymore about Khabib versus Tony and Madison Square Garden, because that to a lot of people is Christmas.
You know what? We can't tell them that Christmas is off. You know, we need to talk about. We need to go out there and pollute Ali Abdelaziz's Twitter and Khabib and say Khabib chump, and you need to fight Tony Ferguson. We need to start like a rampage going on and hit that wave like it was when everybody was booing at the main event the other night. You know, we need to start something like that. If you guys want to see this fight, you guys need to get off your ass and start being a little bit more vocal on Twitter and telling these guys that you need to fight Ferguson. You need to quit running away. You know, Team Khabib is Team Tiramisu. You know, get on that wagon, man. You guys see how they polluted all my I mean, you can throw it back at them and see how they react, but I guarantee you he's going to avoid the fight.
Tony,
you know, they talk a lot, but they don't want to fight.
I have a thought, and I want to know what you think about this. A part of me almost feels like the Khabib side might be excited about a potential fight with Conor only because of what Dana White said. You know, I want to fight Khabib in Russia after this boxing fight. So I want to ask you, do you buy into that? And also, what would you like to see Conor do? Do you want him to be in your weight class? Would that be a fight that you would really like to have in the UFC?
Okay. Well, what's your first question?
Well, let's talk about the thought that perhaps Khabib is holding off because of what Dana White said Conor McGregor is thinking after this Floyd Mayweather fight. I want Khabib in Russia. That's the big soundbite, right?
Look, the one thing is if Khabib keeps holding off, his fight game's not going to get better. He got lit up in the first round of wherever he was at, no matter what fight. Conor and Khabib, if that goes like that, Khabib's standing. He's going to get eaten up. There's no match for Conor. Absolutely. I mean, Khabib needs to fight in order to stay active and to stay fresh. That shelf life is not going to be very good if you're doing a lot of like rounds, hitting the bag, and you're doing all this stuff if you're not going out there and fighting. I used to be one of the most active fighters out there. You know, from the time of the Ultimate Fighter till, you know, the time I got hurt, I didn't fight. But since then on, I accumulated, 9 consecutive victories. In order to stay that way, you need to stay fresh. You need to stay competing. And, you know, if they want to fight, I mean, literally, I see the fight more going towards myself and Khabib because that's what the Russians want. They want to see that fight. That's all I ever hear about. And as far as what Conor, and if he does for Maymack, and if he wins or if he loses, doesn't matter, he's going to have to defend his belt against the person that has the interim title. It's defend or vacate. I mean, that just makes sense to me in my own eyes because that's how the rules have always went. You have to fight the one that has the title to unify the titles. So if I'm going to have the interim title, I want to fight Conor. Tony, he needs to come back to 155 pounds and not either that or if he wants a trilogy with Nate, he needs to drop the belt. You can't hold on the belt and, try to do all that stuff. You did it for maybe a whole entire year. You had your kid. You did all this stuff. That's great. Now let's fight.
Yeah, Tony, could you see a scenario in which, let's say you end up fighting Kevin Lee because, the Khabib fight's just not coming together. Let's say you win that fight. You are the interim champion. What if Conor comes back and says, you know what, I want to face the Russian in Khabib because the country is behind him, or I want to finish what I started with Nate Diaz. I want to have that trilogy fight. Do you think is that a concern of yours, I guess, or are you 100% sure that being the interim champion, that would be guaranteed your fight?
What do you think?
I think Michael Bisping is fighting George St. Pierre in November.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an interim title winner in there, and at the middleweight division. And Robert Whittaker told me that his knee probably could have been healthy enough to fight at the end of this year. So if you're asking me what I think, if Conor McGregor said he wanted to fight Nate Diaz a third time, I'm not sure. What do you think?
If he wants to fight Nate third time, I mean, fans are going to react a certain way. I mean, I'll squash Nate. I mean, we all know the best fight that's out there is going to be myself and Conor McGregor. I even moved on from calling him McNuggets because his game has gotten a little bit better. His boxing has gotten better. When he throws punches, he learns how to block his face better. He's got his together as far as his hands. And so I see myself as like one of the most valuable opponents to Conor McGregor. I mean, if you want me to, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to start talking. I'm not going to try to be anybody that I'm not. I've been the same person since even before Ultimate Fighter. I work hard, and, I let my fist do the talking. But if he wants to go in a different route, really, I'm not going to make his decision. I mean, he's his own man. I'm my own man, too. I make my decisions, based on what I have and what I'm doing. Inside that octagon, it's quick. You have to make quick decisions inside that octagon, Brett. Now, if you don't, you're going to get knocked out. Now, I don't think any of these top dogs or, supposed top guys that are in the rankings ever want to fight me. Why? Because they have so much to lose. I'm the one out there. I'm the bulldog, man. I might not be the biggest dog out there, but I got a bite. And these dudes, they feel that bite on that jab, and they get knocked down. And they don't want no more, man. They start running away like Kakuno.
Two last questions for you, Tony. One is, you've said defend or vacate in reference to Conor McGregor. What is the time frame on that? What is an appropriate amount of time? He won the lightweight championship in November of last year. When would he need to make the decision of either he's going to defend it or you believe that he should vacate the official title? What is the time frame on that?
Let's say a week after his Maymack fight. That sounds good to me. What about you?
Yeah, well, and that also begs the question that you guys share management company. You spoke about this before. Are you getting any indication from them? Dana White has said that Conor McGregor is going to turn around and fight again at the end of this year. Do you believe that?
I don't know. Depends on how much damage he takes. Boxing, like I said, is a different sport compared to MMA. There's no beating around the bush. I mean, if he's man of his word and he wants to say what then he'll fight again. And if I have the title at before the end of the year, obviously, then we'll fight for the title. But I think there's a little bit more build-up that's going to have to be for that. So I don't see him fighting until the end of next, or maybe next year. He does his boxing thing, tries to figure out if he wants to box or do MMA again. And I've really tried to take a humble approach with this management thing. I mean, really, I got some guys that really work hard, and the guys are busy. But I've been really trying to just be professional about it. Sometimes it's hard. I have to say it is hard sometimes, but the guys always work. So,
All right, last question, Tony. When will we know? When will we know if you're fighting Kevin Lee in October, if you're fighting Khabib in November? When are we going to find out?
Soon, brother. Like I said, if Khabib had his together, we would have some cool stuff. But like I said, I'm not going to wait for his lame ass. It is Tuesday, so I could give him another day or two. But we're talking to Sean Shelby and Dana. We're making sure that we keep the things moving. 155-pound division, and like I said, trying to keep things